meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome all of you, the people, everyone in attendance, as well as the members of the public that are following us through the various live streaming platforms. To you, welcome to the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee, PPS for short, meeting number 193 of 11th March 2025, scheduled for 9 to 12 o'clock in terms of the agenda. And it is also being virtually via Microsoft Teams. With me are members of the PPS. My name is Muzi Mkize. I'll be chairing this meeting today. I'm the full-time regulator member, primarily responsible for petroleum pipelines regulation, and a member of the PPS. With me is Mr. Fungai Sibanda, who is the part-time regulator member and a chairperson of the ITGC, which is the Information Technology Governance Committee, as well as a member of other committees of the energy regulator and a member of this PPS. Mr. Sibanda.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, NERSA colleagues, and good morning to members of the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. I also have the CEO of NERSA, Advocate Nomalanga Sithole, who chairs the Regulatory Executive Committee and is a member of various committees of the energy regulator, as well as being a member of the PPS. Advocate Sithole.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, and everyone who has joined us for this particular PPS meeting this morning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Advocate Sithole. Madam Maswanganyo, just alert me if Madam Maseti and Madam Pungose have joined.
Ms. Mbokosa is here and she has network issues. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Also, I've got Madam Zandile Mpungose, who is the Deputy Chairperson of NERSA, as well as being the Chairperson of the Human Resources and Remuneration Committee, member of various committees of NERSA, as well as being a member of the PPS. Madam Pungose.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, members. Good morning, everyone, and also a greeting to members of the public.
Thank you, Madam Pungose. I would like also then to introduce Madam Maseti. Last but not least, we've got Madam Maseti, who is the full-time regulator member, primarily responsible for pipe gas regulation, and currently also assisting as the full-time regulator member, primarily responsible for electricity regulation. She chairs the subcommittees PGS as well as ELS, and is also a member of various committees of the regulator, as well as being a member of this PPS. Madam Maseti.
She's still resolving her network issues, but she will be in the meeting now.
Or still has not joined. Okay, but we'll then proceed on that basis. We've got 13 items to deliberate upon that are substantive. If we can then go to the agenda, members, by show of hands, if you would like to make any changes to the agenda. as presented? I see no hands. By show of hands, members, if you then support the adoption of this agenda for this meeting. Thank you, Advocate Chole. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Madam Pungose. I also support the adoption of the agenda. So we'll proceed as per the agenda of today, save that item 12 and 13 are actually swiped around. And then we'll then go to item 5, which is the implementation of the methodology to determine uncommitted capacity. But first, we would like to know if there are any interest to declare, any conflict of interest to declare by show of hands, members. I see that there are none, and I take it that there are no interest to declare. But please, members and management, if you may please ensure that you fill in the declaration of interest forms and share the forms, the fill forms with the Madam Maswanganye, our secretary. Let's then move to item 5, which is the implementation of the methodology to determine committed capacity. EM, over to you. For all these items, I would give you maximum of 3 minutes to present.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to the members of the public and good morning to the members of PPS. The report on the implementation of methodology to determine uncommitted capacity will be presented by Dr. Paulo, who is in his office because he's recovering from flu. Dr. Paulo, if you may come in.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, members, management, colleagues, and members of the public. I will consider the report as read. First, I would like to extend my sincere apologies to everyone regarding table S2 as well as table 2. They were sort of generated using pivot tables. So when you are using pivot tables, they don't sort of automatically update. You have to refresh them. As a result, what happened, certain information that we sort of considered as is inaccurate in terms of projections, it is no longer applicable. Having said that, a few facilities had an accuracy levels which is within plus or minus 10% variation. So despite the outdated data that is appearing in those tables, the key takeaway from the report remains unchanged, meaning that many facilities struggle with projections. So that's what we're trying to demonstrate with the tables, the challenges in terms of projections. Hence, in the submission, we're sort of proposing the incorporation of machine learning as a potential solution. But I can assure members that there will be no external consultants that will be hired, as the work will be carried out internally. So regarding submission, the submission refers to the exploratory phase, because we cannot guarantee that the model will be ready for deployment in 2026-2027 financial year due to several factors. But one being that the machine learning requires a large data set to enhance the model accuracy. So once the model has been developed, trained, and tested, then we'll be able to assess its accuracy levels. Say, for example, if we set the minimum accuracy ratio to 90%, we'll then be able to conduct a pilot before we proceed with full implementation. So we are saying the submission is for approval for this reason, because we don't want to embark on a process where, because currently what is happening, the licensees are doing their own projections. And then we use those projections in terms of determining our committed capacity and other things. So we don't want to embark on a project where we sort of use machine learning and then later on find that members, they say, no, we're happy with you guys going to where the licensees sort of do their own projections. Hence, we're seeking approval in terms of embarking in that part. With that said, I would like to request members to approve the current methodology for determining uncommitted capacity to remain unchanged while we continue exploring additional tools to enhance the work that we're doing. Thank you, everyone.
So in essence, Dr. Claudio, you're also saying that in looking at the methodology, there is no need currently to review it, but you are currently working on it, and if there are other issues to enhance that come up for the enhancement of the methodology, you will duly do that. Is my understanding correct?
Correct, sir. Very correct. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I also then like to take the members to paragraph 15, which states that it is recommended that the PPS approves the report on the implementation of the methodology to determine uncommitted capacity at the petroleum storage facilities, which suggests keeping the status quo while options to enhance the NERTA process are being explored, right? And with that, I would like to take this opportunity, members, to get any questions, any comments, any guidance from your side. By show of hands, please. Oh, I've got Advocate Chole. And then Mr. Sibanda, in that order, please.
Thank you, Chairperson. Can you hear me, Chair?
Can hear you loud and clear, ma'am.
Excuse me. Chairperson, I had a point of clarity on page 3. And let me thank Dr. Kola for the presentation first. But my point of clarity, paragraph 5, let me just go there. Paragraph 5.9, where we are stating that we had written letters to licensees to address the issues or issues relating to exclusive clauses in the agreements. And I think the agreements that are mentioned are on, I think, as an example, on 5.8. And there is no paragraph that follows that really indicates what was the responses that we got from the licensees that we have written to. So I would just appreciate if there can be a feedback given in relation to those letters that we have written to licensees regarding those exclusive clauses that they tend to have in their agreements. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Advocate Chole. Over to you, Mr. Sibanda.
Thank you, Chair. First, I just need clarity from Dr. Tolo regarding table S2. I probably missed the part where he says I think it was the translation from the pivot tables didn't probably extract all the relevant information, but with particular reference to the accurate projections. So are we saying that instead of a 0, there are some that projected accurately or within the 10% allowance? I do understand that the overall picture doesn't change, or the overall observation doesn't change, but I just wanted clarity that those zeros, there are actually some that projected within. And then I also needed clarity regarding some of the challenges that have previously been uncovered with respect to uncommitted capacity, and I'm referring to paragraph 5.8, where we list some of the clauses that we found in offtake agreements. But we discuss, well, we list about 5 possible problematic clauses, but we only discuss commingling in the following paragraphs 5.9 to 5.10 and how that has been resolved. But there's no indication how the rest of the other problematic clauses have been resolved, or that's no longer an issue. And we're no longer seeing those types of clauses in offtake agreements. And then the other clarity is with respect to the use of machine learning, and especially, well, you talk of data analysis and visualization. I just want to understand, I think there's probably 2 parts here. The first part is use of technology by licensees in their projections. But the second part, as I understand it, is our own analysis when it comes to data analysis and the use of visualization technology. So I'm not sure I get you clearly when you say that you need lots of data to be able to utilize machine learning, because I thought all that we needed was to take the information or the data that we are receiving from licenses and interpret it or analyze it or use it in a form of a visualization sense. So I'm not sure I understand the part where you're saying that we need massive data for us to be able to use machine learning. Maybe if you can clarify me on that. On table S1, I just had a concern regarding the increase in the number of non-submissions in the 2023-2024 financial year. If you look at the trend from 2020 to 2024, there's been a drastic increase in the number of no submissions from around 74. It's actually a 10 times increase from 74 in 2020 to 777 in 23-24. I don't know what accounts for that. Maybe if you're able to explain, I'm not too sure, but there seems to be an increase there, but also a reduction in the projections that have been given. But for me, I think it was just a concern there. And then lastly, the recommendation. Chair, I'm happy with the recommendation insofar as probably we just stop at petroleum storage facilities. So we just note the report, and when it comes to exploring options and all of that, I think that's probably more of an operational matter, and it's really up to staff to do that. I don't think we really need to have it in the recommendation. That's my view. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. Maybe before you respond, Ms. Dr. Tlolo, whilst you are preparing for the response, with regard to the latter part, Mr. Sibanda, where there's a part which suggests keeping the status quo while exploring options to enhance the NERSA processes. We're looking at the fact that the other aspect entails amending or reviewing the methodology so that it keeps up with the developments, because the issue of uncommitted capacity is critical in the sense that it enables new entrants. And also we're going through this process because to get uncommitted capacity right here and now does not help those that want to enter the industry, because you don't get uncommitted capacity and then you order a cargo to bring into the country. Because if you do that, by the time the cargo comes here, that capacity could no longer be there. So the issue of being able to make projections was a major move towards really making this issue of determining uncommitted capacity something that is can have a practical benefit or impact at the end of the day. That is how we look at things. But you'll come in maybe after the responses from Dr. Klolo, just to be able to get from your side if that is satisfactory in terms of how we consider this recommendation. Over to Dr. Klolo.
Thank you, Chair. I'll start with the Advocate's Toilet's question in terms of 5.9, the exclusion agreement. So what we're trying to do there is just to give context or background, not necessarily that an issue that that is arising during this financial year. But members will remember that there's what we call the allocation mechanism, of which it's used by licensees in terms of how that holding in terms of access will sort of be managed. And then they submit those documents to NERS, and then they come and serve to this subcommittee. And then it's sort of a link in terms of the agreement, the commercial agreement now that they enter into with the third parties. But we're just giving context in terms of what has been the issues pertaining to the exclusion agreement, not necessarily something that we pick up in this financial year. And then going to Mr. Sibanda's in terms of table 2, he's correct in terms of, yes, where we've said we've got few now of those licensees that have managed to project within plus or minus 10% variation, as opposed to what is happening. That's what I was trying to correct in my introduction. So he's correct in terms of that. It's no longer zeros in terms of what is appearing there. As far as machine learning is concerned, Mr. Mkhize has answered that nice in terms of it's a tool that we're trying to explore, but it's not necessarily a matter of data. As I was introducing the report, I mentioned the level of accuracy, because it's not a matter of just doing whatever that has to be done and apply it. If the level of accuracy is not satisfactory, that is an indication that you still need to put more data because of a number of factors that can, depending how that model is sort of designed and developed. So hence we were saying, if where one would be sort of be comfortable at 90% threshold, a minimum 90% level of accuracy. And then at that stage, one can say, I'm comfortable enough that I can use this tool. So, and then, but you don't start by full implementation, you start with piloting. That's what I was trying to sort of convey. It might be existing, but level of accuracy might be bad and not suitable for implementation. In terms of table S1, in terms of non-compliance, and we're also covering that aspect. As far there's another submission in terms of the infrastructure utilization and third-party access, where sort of outline sort of challenges as well as the reasons behind certain licenses not submitting. For instance, I can just make an example. It could be facilities is not operational at that particular stage. I'm just making an example, but we sort of detail that in the infrastructure utilization and third-party access report. No, thanks, everyone.
But I think, Dr. Klolo, when it comes to non-submission, if you look at 2023, the increase is drastic. You've got 777 there as compared to 42 in 22-23, as compared to 56 in 21-22, and then 74 in 2020-2021. I think that is where I think you need just to enhance that by providing a clear explanation in terms of that drastic increase. And on the issue of 5.8, just need to enhance that by mentioning, amongst other things, maybe adding another paragraph that then talks to the issues that you noted as causes that unduly hamper third-party access, to say that these are also interrelated. For example, there is a restriction on commingling similar product, which also include the exclusive use of the facility. We have a case in point here in Cape Town, for example, with regard to LPG, Sunrise Energy, and Vita Gas, where there was issues of exclusivity and there were challenges in terms of commingling LPG that is used by others, to the extent that that kind of agreement had to be terminated. I mean, in essence, at the end of the day. And also to emphasize that these are not events. These are ongoing issues, because uncommitted capacity, you keep getting requests for that on an ongoing basis. So you could have a period where you don't necessarily experience all of them, but you experience some, but they still remain challenges that tend to rear their head from time to time. I think that is the approach that, in terms of when in responding and enhancing that paragraph, which is going to be the new 5.10, we have to include it in that manner. And when it comes to using machine learning, I think it's important that yes, the industry will be required to know that, but we are also from our side need to have all the requisite skills, because we need not just take information and try to analyze blindly. We should be able to have our own models to kind of assess that data and ensure that the kind of data that we also require can be improved in a manner that it will also help to improve the accuracy of projections. That is, in essence, what we're looking at, members. And Dr. Xolo, if you may just please enhance the report accordingly, and do same going forward. Are we good with that, Dr. Xolo?
Yes, sir. Noted. Thank you so much for it.
Thank you very much. Members, are you covered? Mr. Sibanda and then Advocate Sithole?
I'm covered, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Advocate Sithole?
I'm also answered, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. As I've already read out the recommendation, which is on page 8 of 17, under paragraph 15.1, for the PPS to approve the report. By show of hands, members, if you do support the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Advocate Sithole. Thank you, Mrs. Banda. I also support the recommendation for the approval. The matter is then taken care of, and we then proceed to item 6, which is a report on the prudency assessment of the Bergen Cape Terminal.
Chairperson, I was saying I support. I don't know, my hand doesn't come. I was saying that I support when you asked. Thanks.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I didn't see that you have now sorted out your challenges and have joined. Welcome, Madam Maseti, and we include your support. Thank you. Let's then proceed to item 6.
Thanks, Chairperson. Mr. Mhlotshana will assist in terms of presenting the item.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members and the colleagues. I'll just be brief. The report is for approval for a BCT facility in Cape Town, situated at the Transnet port. The site is almost about 37,000 square meters with 12 tanks. Maybe just to brief the members and colleagues to say why we do the prudency, or what we look at when we look at the prudency. We look at how the costs were incurred. We check also the efficiency of costs, as well as delve into the reasonability of costs. But I think maybe just to explain what do we do, or the process that we embark on, we basically look at the documentation that we would have received from the licensee, look at the procurement process that were followed, and then check the project costs, escalations, as well as deal with the issues of risks, thereby then determining if there's any imprudent amounts that were incurred, and then as well as finalize the report. But I think in essence is basically to ensure that whatever tariff that the licensee will have, it's just and fair, I think, to the customers as well. And as a result, obviously, we will then need to check that the prudency was, the cost were incurred properly, and they are not directly sent or given to the customers. I'll take the report as read and just say that what we found was that there were no issues of imprudency. And in actual fact, most of the work that was done in a proper manner. And for the facility of this size, I think it showed that the main thing that enables that the costs are incurred prudently is how you contract or how you procure the services. One being that you ensure that you've got an EPC contractor or EPCM contractor, as they call it, where someone will come, engineer, procure, construct, and then manage all the contractors that are on site. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Msochan. I would like to take your members to paragraph 14.1. The recommendation is for the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee to approve the report on prudence assessment conducted on the Berg and Cape Terminal, as BCT for short, petroleum facilities in Cape Town. Members, any questions, comments, or guidance from your side based on the presentation and the submission by Mr. Msochan? I don't see any hands. I see a hand from Mr. Sbanda. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I really don't have anything on the report. Safe to say, I think it's commendable. It's sounds like it's a clean bill. There are no discrepancies. There are no issues. It seems as if, everything was followed to the T. But I was just wondering whether, I'm not too sure what we do with these reports, but I'm just thinking out loud to say that perhaps it might be useful for us to extract some of the good things that we have noted in the report with a view to either enhancing our prudency guidelines or having these as lessons for other licensees to sort of follow in future when undertaking these types of projects. But I think it's good to read a report where there are no issues and everything seems to have been followed and properly done. And yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. And I think that is commending the team on the work done, as well as the licensee, the Back and Cape terminals in this case, for having conducted their project prudently. And it is important that we include that in terms of our stakeholder engagement, what we're learning from these prudence assessments, as well as the continuous improvement of the team itself. Because Ms. Banda, you'll appreciate that we have come a long way with doing prudence assessments, where we're gradually reducing over-reliance on consultants and try to build internal capacity, even where we don't have the requisite capacity to conduct the prudence assessment particular aspect, we're at least getting the requisite skills to be able to interrogate whatever work that gets done. And it's part of the continuous improvement. And in that regard, the team will look at that. It might, at the end of the day, come more like as a report that is covering all the prudence assessments that we've conducted in future. We'll have just to look at that, how we get feedback to this committee regarding the improvements. With that being said, members, I've already read the recommendation. If you may just indicate by show of hands that you support the recommendation to approve this report on PCT. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Advocate Tole. Madam Maseti. I don't see your hand, Madam Maseti. Oh, thank you, Madam Maseti. I also support the recommendation. So the PPS has duly approved the report on prudence assessment conducted on the Back and Cape terminals, Petroleum facilities in Cape Town. This then takes care of item 6. We're moving to item 7, which is a report on the inland security of supply. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes, Dr. Tole, proceed.
Yes. Also, I'll take the report as read, but I would like to take the members back to September 2024 when we presented the first report, when we had highlighted some inconsistencies in Transnet projections. But what we have managed to gather is that the information that has been used by Transnet in their projections is fixed to a particular period, even if there is an opportunity to sort of update it. The reason being, each year around August, they submit a tariff application. So in that tariff application, they sort of use that data that has been used in the projection. So, and then they end up using throughout the reporting period, no changes. Hence, when we sort of do the analysis, we find those inconsistencies. So, but furthermore, what we have indicated in the report is the challenges regarding the road volume data, in particular for unlicensed players. But I'm happy to say that as far as our licenses are concerned, we've managed to get that data, although there has been some pushbacks, but we've managed to overcome that through resilience and focus. But I also remind members that in December 2024, there was a public hearing where members asked Transnet in terms of what are they planning to do to increase the pipeline volumes. What they indicated is that they plan to get a consultant on board to do a study with the intention to shift the road volumes to the pipeline. But we also note in the report that there's been challenges with Natref Refinery in January 2025, which might, by sheer chance, boost the Transnet volume. If members can remember, in 2022, there were floods in Durban. And those floods, they sort of contributed in terms of increasing the pipeline volume because the infrastructure was sort of damaged. It could be another scenario with the Natref, but in a different context, but we'll be able to report to members in the next submission when we have full information pertaining to what has really happened pertaining to that. With that, like members to note the report on the inland sector of supply. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tolo. I would like to take members to paragraph 15.1 on page 8 of 16, which reads thus: it is recommended that the PPS notes the second submission for the 2024-25 financial year, reporting on the inlet security of supply. The report primarily focuses on the utilization of the Transnet multi-product pipeline, citing, amongst others, the inclusion of road volumes and refinery data to better explain the situation. 2, the challenges on the tracking of road volumes which are beyond NERSA's powers. 3, the estimated volume impact of the closure of the pipeline to Ladysmith, Bethlehem, and Kronstadt depots. And 4th and lastly, the absence of threats to the inlet security of supply. That's where it ends. But members, I'd just like to draw your attention also to the fact that initially this project was looking at the sufficiency of the infrastructure, pipeline infrastructure, to take product into the inland market, which is the economic hub of the country, mainly the Gauteng area. But then that having established that, the challenge has been to then look at the improving the utilization of this infrastructure, mainly the pipeline. And I want to also emphasize that there is a project underway that is being undertaken by a consultant independently, commissioned by Transnet at the behest of the Petroleum Pipelines Division for them to look at all these matters that I've mentioned, even the 4 of them, in terms of moving volumes to pipelines instead of getting more trucks on the road with a lot of other negative externalities as a consequence. Having said that, members, I would like to give you an opportunity then if you've got any questions, any comments or guidance to provide to the team. Over to you, members, by show of hands. I don't see any hands. We'll then proceed, members, if you can then by show of hands indicate if you support the noting of this report. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Advocate Tole. I also support. Thank you, Madam Maseti. This then takes care of item 7. We'll then proceed to item 8, which is a report on the infrastructure utilization and third-party access to petroleum storage facilities.
Chair, Ms. Mabichi will take us in.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of the submission is to request the PPS to note the second submission for the 2024-25 reporting period on the analysis of infrastructure utilization to determine uncommitted capacity and third-party access at Petroleum. The analysis includes data that is from reports received from the previous financial up to December 2024, and this is data that was received as at 7 February 2025. The analysis of the storage utilization reports shows that for the period April 2024 up to December, 70% of the total volume throughput is attributed to integrated oil companies at their own storage facilities, whilst we have about 30% of the total volume throughput as by both integrated and non-integrated. I'm noting that integrated oil companies can be third parties at storage facilities that are owned by others. From the 30% noted, the total level of third-party access for non-integrated emerging oil companies, that is the third parties, as 9.5%. And it was identified that a total of 92 petroleum storage facilities were identified to have uncommitted capacity. A list is attached here too as an Annexure B. Therefore, it is recommended, Chairperson, that the PPS notice submission as stated on page 8 of 23 in paragraph 15. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mabiche. Members, again, just take you to paragraph 15.1, which is on page 8 of 23, reading thus: it is recommended that the PPS notes the second submission for the 2024-25 financial year, reporting on the analysis of infrastructure utilization to determine uncommitted capacity and third-party access at petroleum storage facilities. The report mainly highlights, 1, the incorporation of throughput volumes to give a better explanation of the utilization of facilities. 2, the level of third-party access in petroleum storage facilities. 3, the list of petroleum storage facilities identified to have uncommitted capacity. 4, licenses accommodating third parties. And lastly, third-party access inquiries and requests received by the energy regulator. Having read the recommendation, members, I would like to know if there is any member with a question, comment, or guidance to the team. By show of hands, please. I don't see any hands. I've got Mr. Sbanda's hand. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the team. Chairperson, the picture that is arising, at least for me, is that nothing much has changed. And it will also appear that the interventions that we've made, trying to facilitate third-party access, in certain instances, there is no uptake. And so I'm just wondering whether there is an issue here. And the fact that we do this report twice a year, and yet it doesn't appear that the picture is changing, and that the third-party access seekers have been given an opportunity, but in some instances, they don't seem to be taking that opportunity. So I'm wondering whether we should be continuing to do this report twice a year. Shouldn't our resources be better utilized elsewhere? If really there isn't much of a change, we can still have the report. But for me to do this twice a year when we've done all that we can, or should, and the picture is not changing, I'm not sure if we're really using our resources optimally, Chair. That's my observation. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I don't know if you want to have a response, Dr. Tolo or EM, or because I note the comment, Mr. Sbanda, and it's going to be a matter of then looking at whether we resort to an annual report or we look at the need, maybe to say when we've got a report every 6 months, it does give you an opportunity to make some changes before the end of the year, should you pick up certain trends or certain problems. And I would say that in this instance, with this observation, we've already engaged one player. I'm not at liberty now, maybe to go to details about that in terms of exploring availing capacity or creating capacity at the coast, so that one can be able to alleviate the challenge of bringing product in and getting it stored as primary storage, because that is the main hindrance really in terms of being able to get products from the high seas. Is the coastal storage being the primary storage when one imports, and the country is now on more than 70% importation mode, which then needs to be considered or factored in when looking at capacity. I will stop there with that one, and not Madam Pungose to come to the fore, but you then have to come back, Mr. Sibanda, if you have any further comments. Over to you, Madam Pungose.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't have any issue with the report itself per se. What I wanted to just bring to the team's attention, I think we're on Chenge Energy Solutions on page 21 of 23. If they can just, the status report, if they can just look at that first paragraph, the date on line 3, being June 2026. Clearly, I think maybe it was June 2024. If they can just make sure that they attend to that and put in the correct date. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Pungose. Madam Abiche, do you note that?
I noted, Chair. Thank you.
You should correct and enhance the report accordingly. I'm also getting the notes from the EM, who's sitting next to me here. Okay, Mr. Sibanda, you covered.
Chair, certainly for me, I think operations can continue in terms of monitoring compliance and enforcement and all of that, and our attempts at facilitating third-party access. All that I was saying is, I'm not sure whether it really serves as any value if there isn't any change over a period of time for us to keep on doing the same report twice a year. But in terms of operations, definitely that needs to continue. I'm just saying for purposes of the committee and staff as well. I guess there's a lot of time and effort and energy that goes into preparing these reports. So it's on that basis, Chair, that I was saying perhaps we could be utilizing the resources elsewhere, unless of course there are no capacity issues and all of that. But yeah, I'm just saying perhaps we just needed to look at the value add. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll definitely look at that as said. We appreciate the input, and thanks for the inputs, members. We'll then move to the noting by show of hands, members, if you support the noting of this report. I've already read out the recommendation. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Mr. Sibanda. Thank you, Advocate Chole. I also support Madam Aseti. Secretariat, if you can just assist with Madam Aseti, because I don't think he's got her hand up. I see is unmuted. Maybe he's in support. if you can just communicate with her. This one is taken care of. We're moving to item 9, which is a biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with construction license conditions. Over to you, ma'am, and your team.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to everyone. This is the second biannual report as required annual performance plan for the current financial year, and it seeks to provide updates on the construction projects licensed by NERSA and potential changes or new developments based on applications submitted to NERSA. Chair, just the key highlights. Currently, we have 14 projects that are regarded to be active, and of these 14 projects, only 3 have commenced with the actual construction activities, and construction is in progress. And of the 3, Chair, 2 projects which relates to construction of additional tanks, and these are by VOPEC in Lesedi and BTT in Richards Bay, are progressing as per their respective plans and are nearing. And to this end, Chair, we have the licensees concerned had already submitted amendment applications to their operating licenses in preparation to commence operations. And the other project, Chair, in progress stage is the Equan Oil in Niger, but it's still in the early stages of action. And the remaining 11 projects, Chair, of the 14 are in the pre-construction category, and most of them have been delayed for the reasons that are indicated in the report, with the exception of SFF LPG loading facility construction project in Saldanha Bay, which in terms of their license conditions must commence. And maybe moving to the last point, Chair, which is regarding to the non-compliance, which is covered in section 3 of the report. I think it's from page 37 to page 39. In this to date, Chair, we presently have about 3 licensees who are considered to be non-compliant, Lanele, and reporting. And in terms of our enforcement efforts, we have issued the final non-compliance letter. And now, Chair, we're in the stage of issuing the notice, which then the next step will be followed by tribunal proceedings should the non-compliance not be remedied. And the second licensee, Chair, is Avidia. And same like Lanele, issue regarding timelines and reporting. And in terms of the stage of enforcing compliance, we are at the issuing of a second non-compliance letter there, Chair. The last one is VOPEC regarding to their Richards Bay project, and it's also in terms of timelines and reporting. However, Chair, subsequent to the sign-off of the report, we did get the report from VOPEC, thereby remedying that part of the non-compliance, but then the timelines issue still remains, and there, Chair, we are in the process of issuing them with the first non-compliance letter, Chair. And then I will move to the recommendation, which is to... Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lukele. I would like just to take the members to paragraph 14.1 on page 5 of 45, which is reads thus: it is recommended that the PPS note the biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with construction license conditions attached here to as Annex 1 on the progress made in the projects licensed by NERSA and the level of compliance by the licensees. Having said that, members, just like to get if you've got any comments, questions, or guidance to give to the team. By show of hands, please. I don't see any hands. May you then, members, by show of hands, indicate if you support the recommendation to note this report?
I do have my hand up, Chair. Maybe you missed it.
Oh, okay. You may
All right.
come in then.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, just on the timing of the issuance of the non-compliance, I'm wondering whether, in terms of the process or procedures for PPR, whether they are looking at only issuing a notice of non-compliance after we take a decision on this, or they have already sent a letter to this licensee indicating the areas or incidents of non-compliance, and whether they've requested that they remedy the non-compliance within a specific time period. I would like to just understand that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. May you please respond?
Okay, thank you. Maybe I will start with the Lanele one, which is at the notice stage. There, ma'am, we are following, maybe in terms of our delegation matrix, where it allowed for the FTRM to make a preliminary findings. In that regard, Chair, the process is ongoing there. We are just have drafted a notice. It will get to your office. The other ones for the two, which is Avidia and VOPEC, is the normal non-compliance letters, and it's the same process as well.
In essence, the process of monitoring and enforcement, and monitoring compliance and enforcement does proceed irrespective of whether this report has been tabled here or not. This is in essence that process goes on unabated. Mr. Untiti, you wanted to say something?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. You summarized it so well, and that is what I wanted to say, that we need to follow those steps, because the Auditor General is also looking at our procedures. So we have to send the first reminder and then the letter, and then so that process is ongoing, as you indicated.
Okay, no, thanks for that. You'll appreciate, Madam Maseti, that also the general challenge that we have with respect to our legislation, that it doesn't have a kind of penalties up front. It gives the licensee an opportunity to correct the situation prior to any action taken against that licensee. I hope you're covered, ma'am.
Yes, I'm covered.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you very much. This then takes us to the recommendation that I've already read on paragraph 14.1, which talks to the fact that the PPS is requested to note this biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with construction license conditions attached as Annexure 1 on the progress made on the projects licensed by NERSA and the level of compliance by the licensees. By show of hands, members, if you do support. Thank you, Advocate Tole. Thank you, Mrs. Banda. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Madam Maseti. I also support the noting as recommended. This then takes us to item 10, which is a biannual report on the monitoring and enforcement of compliance with operation license conditions. Over to you, sir.
Mr. Maphodisa.
Or Mr. Maphodisa, over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members and colleagues. The purpose of the report is to request PPS to note a second biannual report for 2024 and 25 financial year on the level of compliance by licensee with the conditions of their operation licenses. The report comprises of the following section: average actual storage facility utilization, allocation mechanism, HDSA, which is Regulation 8, and site visit conducted. The average actual storage facility utilization in terms of the monthly, in terms of the Regulation 3, the above facility storage due to report on the monthly utilization, and the average reporting is standing at 93%, and below bulk is 68%. In terms of the allocation mechanism, 84% of all petroleum storage facility licenses have the allocation mechanism with the energy regulator. And the remaining 10 are the licensees that fall below bulk threshold which means that all the above bulk have allocation mechanism. HDSA participation, which is Regulation 8, the level of compliance in terms of reporting is at 78% for the reporting period. And the overall compliance level with license condition and regulation in the road is above 80%. A site visit conducted, 82% of the site inspection have been conducted, and we are finalizing the inspection for this current financial year. The remaining will be done before end of March, and will be reported on the next report to PPS. It is recommended that the PPS note the biannual report attached as Annexure 1 on the level of compliance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Talan Mapol. Members, the recommendation on paragraph 14.1, page 5 of 25 reads thus: it is recommended that the PPS notes the biannual report attached to as Annexure 1 on the level of compliance by licenses with the conditions of their operation licenses issued for the financial year 2024-25 for the period 31st July 2024 to 31st January 2025. Members, if you've got any questions, comments, or guidance to give to the team, please just raise your hands. I don't have any hands showing. I take it there are no comments, questions, or guidance to provide. Members, by show of hands, please indicate if you do support the recommendation for the PPS to note this biannual report. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Advocate Tole. Thank you, Madam Massetti. I also support the recommendation to note this report. This then takes us to item 11, which is the annual report on the investigations done into suspected unlicensed activities for the 2024-25 financial year for noting by the PPS.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Lukele, over to you, sir.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chair. And Chair, maybe I will start by just indicating that the report only focuses on storage facilities, and only because there were no suspected unlicensed activities relating to the other two facilities that we regulate, loading and pipelines. And it includes the five main aspects, which are investigations conducted on activities that may require licensing by NERSA. And the second one, which were mainly what we worked on, were the processing of bulk storage verification forms, and thirdly, pending matters. And fourth, we also look at site inspections that we have conducted. And lastly, Chair, we look at there's a section that we have added based on the comment from the PPS in considering the last report. And in summary, Chair, in terms of the investigations, we have about 2 matters that are under investigations. And in both cases, we have already conducted site inspections to verify and gather further information. And we now need to just finalize the investigation reports, which will be submitted in due course, Chair. And with respect to the cases that we have concluded, and this only related to the bulk verification forms that we assessed, these are detailed in table 1. In table 1 of the report, Chair. I'm trying to look for the page. It's on page. Sorry about that. Page 15 to page 16 of the report. And Chair, regarding the pending cases, we have 8 in total, and this includes the other 2 already that are under investigation, leaving us with 6. And these are relating to incomplete bulk verification forms. And Chair, here we are awaiting the information from the owners to submit the outstanding information. In terms of site inspections, Chair, as the date of the report, we conducted a total of 13 site inspections to unlicensed facilities. And again, Chair, with the exception of the 2 matters under investigations, there was no facility inspected that was found to require licensing, Chair. And with that, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lukele. Members, just like to draw attention to paragraph 14.1, which is under the recommendations. It states thus: it is recommended that the PPS notes 1, the annual report on investigations done into suspected unlicensed activities 24-25 financial year, attached here to as Annexure A, and 2, that the FTRM confirm that certain storage facilities listed in the report do not require licensing in terms of the Act as provided for by the bulk storage determination. Members, having read out the recommendation, do you have any comments, questions, or guidance to provide to the team? I see one hand, or two hands, Madam Pungose and then Mr. Sibanda, in that order, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Mr. Lukele and team, for your presentation. I think I just wanted to clarify something on page 12 of 36, where there's it's stated that the bulk storage determination of since that determination of 26 May 2016, there hasn't been many investigations that were initiated by NERSA. So what I wanted, were there any suspected unlicensed activities that were discovered? So what I wanted to clarify from this statement, does this mean that, yes, there were not that many investigations done, or suspected unlicensed activities identified? However, there were some investigations that were conducted between 2016, to date. And then the other one that I wanted to just confirm on page 13 of 36, because there's some joint investigations that are done with other, co-regulators, your SARS. And then also it was mentioned that, the investigation that was done with SARS, NERSA did inform SARS that they must liaise with DMRE because they are the regulator that's responsible for product quality. So what I wanted to find out, on clause 17, when they're talking about a full investigation report that will be furnished to us in due course, will that be an investigation report from our team at NERSA, or will it be from DMPR, or will it be from SARS? So I just wanted to clarify, or they'll get those reports from the relevant regulators and then package it to come to the PPS. Thank you. That is all from me.
Thank you, Madam Pungose. Before we proceed, I think it's going to be important that that last sentence, the full investigation report on this matter will be submitted in due course, that we indicate by who, even when is it expected. That will help, but you'll respond comprehensively once I give you the opportunity to do so. I'll proceed to Mr. Sibanda. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chair. I do note the report. Mine was also on the joint investigation with SARS, where they referred a matter to us, which I think is a good thing in terms of collaboration. The question that I have is whether we have standing kind of enforcement meetings, not only with SARS, but the SAPS as well, or are these like ad hoc encounters where they have an issue, they contact us, or where we need their assistance, we contact them? And to the extent that we don't, and actually looked at the stakeholder engagement and advocacy report and plan, and sorry to be referring to reports that we are yet to consider, but I didn't see any standing sort of meetings with these agencies, and I think it would be good to sort of like have those, whether you want to term them enforcement meetings or whatever it is, so that we keep contact and that collaboration alive, and just not depend on ad hoc encounters if that is the case. But also, secondly, thank you to the team for including the safety and security aspects of conducting inspections. I always get concerned, especially when you consider some of the areas that we venture into during these inspections and investigations. But thank you for that write-up. I think it does give some level of comfort at least, and to know that there are certain preparations that get undertaken to take care of safety and security. We just need to be vigilant at all times and not let our guard down. But thank you to the team for including that portion. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sibanda. The matter that you raised initially concerning collaboration with other parties is a matter that we also looking at it from a point of view of stakeholder engagement. There are moves afoot to do exactly that, not to make things ad hoc. There are committees that some members of the team belong to. They participate in, where there is interaction with multiplicity of these entities. But we also like to have the NERSA's own, so to say. Over and above that, we have initiated there's an intervention to make sure that we create also some kind of internal centers of excellence in terms of liaison with the work done by the other parties that closely work with us in this space. In terms of knowing, for example, things like being au fait and well-versed with certain acts, like the National Ports Act, like the Customs and Excise Act. That is something that we have initiated, and we are in the process of actually ensuring that we allocate such responsibilities and are able to really improve the collaboration. If anything that is not working, it should not be on our side, but on the other party's side. Tim, may you please respond?
Oh, so okay. Now I will start, and thank you to the members for questions. And starting with the first one on paragraph 12, I think there, ma'am, what we meant that we haven't had many, but in this financial year, we had the two that we indicated from paragraph 14, and including this one that we had jointly with SARS. So for this financial year, Chair, we had two cases that we investigated. And the reason for that, Chair, is because with this bulk storage determination, it made the most parties that were left unlicensed were mainly the small operators. So they are coming to us with the bulk storage verification form. So there is no much need of investigating them, if I may put it that way.
But in essence, I think here is that there isn't one that is initiated from our side. Gets initiated by people reporting, and also when it comes to those that we find on our side, they're actually below bulk. Yeah, I think this is the essence of the question, of the response to the question. All right. May proceed.
And then, Chair, in terms of the second question, the SARS investigation, I just want to add one extra piece in terms of what you've said. So on this very Meyerton case, if I can refer to it, with SARS, we did get some information that there's a bulk facility in the area of Gauteng, Mpumalanga. However, the person couldn't give us an address. We tried to find it and we'd not. Then in engaging with the SARS illicit trading unit, that specifically looks lately at adulteration cases because there's such a proliferation of that happening. With our tools and their tools, then they managed to find the address. And then, because they've got processes, they got the court orders and they arranged the visit and then called us to please join. So I think it is a combination, but we couldn't, although we suspected this facility, we could not locate it with the information we got from the third party, which was a consultant, which was trying to get possible licensing application done. So that's what happened there. The reason why we couldn't finish the full report, as you indicated, I'll elaborate that, is this current case is still in court. So it is sub judice. There's been challenges, first successful by the party on procedural grounds. That has been addressed, and now the matter is actually going in court or waiting court. So that's why we couldn't finish it, but the information we got was as part in the report here. So the final report, I think, will come to the regulator in terms of that. Each party has got a role. The reference to DMRE, because it is blending, it's outside NASA's mandate. And therefore, the DMRE or DMPR, if you want to, is then the party that needs to do that part. So each has got a role. So they will do their own investigation, but we're also following it up. Unfortunately, the compliance forum, speaking to Mr. Sibanda's question, has not been meeting that regularly, chaired by the DMRE. However, there's SARS, SAPS, and Transnet and other role players are involved. So in essence, it may be ad hoc more at this stage, Mr. Sibanda. However, we have agreed with the SARS team that we will be also looking at a joint operation, an agreement, or maybe lack of, it could be MOU, we don't know. And that is part of the project for this financial year. As Mr. Mkhize has indicated, the SARS Custom and Excise Act will be a focus. Then we hope to sort of formalize a joint collaboration agreement, because they've got much more powers than NASA. They completely seal off the site. They are there with police escorts and guards, and yes, so they do have more enforcement powers. So I hope I've answered the questions. It's more ad hoc, but we are trying to formalize that, and then the formalized structures like the compliance forum, we join when that is initiated or a meeting is called by the department.
Okay, I take it, Mr. Untik, that with the last sentence you still read, then it is a report that will come from the team, from the PPR team. There are people there are parties that are working on the different portions of what will then constitute that report. Members, I hope you've been responded to adequately. If not, you may indicate by show of hands. Okay. Having then read the report, the recommendation, members, if you may please indicate by show of hands if you support the noting of the report. Thank you, Mr. Subanda. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Madam Chole. Thank you, Madam Maseti. I also support the recommendation to note this report. This then takes care of item 11. Moving to item 12. The heading there, actually, as we said right at the beginning, they should be swapped around with item 13. It's item 12, dealing with the report on stakeholder engagement aligned with annual stakeholder plan for the 2024-25 financial year. Over to you, Mr. Simtumula.
Good morning, Chairperson, members, and member of management and the team. The purpose of this report is to request the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee to note the PPR annual stakeholder engagement report geared towards building and strengthening relationships with stakeholders and creating awareness about the PPR mandate. One of the strategic objectives said...
Just hold a second. Advocate Chole, I note your hand is still up. Is it a lingering hand or new matter?
Apologies, it was a lingering hand, Chair. So apologies for that.
Thanks, Madam. You may proceed, sir.
One of the strategic objectives to be realized by the PPR is provided for in the 2024 annual performance plan of the National Energy Regulator is through stakeholder engagement, provide one report by 30 March, end of March each year. On 29 November 2022, the Energy Regulator approved the NERSA stakeholder engagement and advocacy strategy. The strategy entails amending the old and communicating strategy and incorporate advocacy. And it was noted that there were several links between the stakeholder engagement and regulatory advocacy. So as part of the development of the organization strategy, the division were tasked to develop their respective plans, each deliberating how they will execute their stakeholder engagement and regulatory advocacy within NERSA. So if you can see on the annexure A, I've given the deliberation in annexure B in terms of the stakeholder engagement which were undertaken. Just to save time, I will be able to touch on a few which I deem them important. As part of APP, there's annual stakeholder engagement, which is supposed to take annually. So on that, we can report that on the 25th of October 2024, stakeholder engagement as part of the APP took place on the 25th of October, and the details are reported thereof on the project, on the report. And again, there was a visit by PPS members, which is a visit to Transnet Pipeline. The visit took place during 21 and 22. Thereof were also part of attendance on such. So those are the two which I thought that I should share with the members, given that the report have been read. Over to you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mule. Members, I would just like to first of all take you to paragraph 14.1 on page 6 of 15, which reads thus: it is recommended that the PPS notes the report on stakeholder engagement aimed at building and strengthening relationships with stakeholders and creating awareness about the Petroleum Pipelines Regulation mandate and services. Members, any questions, comments, or guidance to provide by show of hands, please? I see no hands. With that, members, by show of hands, if you support the recommendation as read out. Thank you, Madam Maseti. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Advocate Chole. I also support the noting of the report. This then takes care of item 12, allowing us to move on to item 13, which is an annual stakeholder engagement and regulatory advocacy plan for the 2025-26 financial year, to be presented by Mr. Sintumulagi.
Thank you, Chairperson. As you are aware, members, that on 3rd July 2024, PPS members noted the stakeholder engagement advocacy presented by the PPR division. So this one is the second plan which is being presented to PPS members following the previous noted by the members. The purpose of this submission is to request the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee to note the annual stakeholder engagement and regulatory advocacy plan for 2025 financial year, attached therefore as Annexure A. As part of the development of the organization strategy, the division were tasked to develop their respective plans, each dealing how they will execute stakeholder engagement and regulatory advocacy activity. So here on this, we have, if you can just move to A and B, we have articulated. So I thought that it would be proper to indicate what have been achieved on the previous stakeholder engagement, which was approved July, which I've attached here for members as Annexure B, before I can talk to Annexure A, which is the current financial year 25-26, because it's important that you abreast the members in terms of what have happened before we can introduce the new items. In short, I can indicate that all the items and activities as indicated on the previous financial year, all activities have been attended to, and all PPR, PLC, and PPT activities on the annual stakeholder engagement, land rehab, Transnet site visit, some else, as if they are a repetition, they've been attended to. So I can say all items by the PPR on the previous stakeholder and the regulatory advocacy have been executed by the PPR division. There are one which maybe might not have been executed. There are those which you find that, like, for example, land rehabilitation is we undertake such exercise or workshop as per request by the by licensee. So where the licensee there's no request, then we are unable to workshop. So those are the items. And then I will quickly take you to the new items now for the new financial year. Maybe I will take one or two during the 25 and 26. And I've seen that when this Annexure A attachment, the number 6 and 7 were omitted. I think it's the issue of technology when documents are attached on the system. But compared to the previous stakeholder and advocacy plan, there's a new 3 items added on this one, because some they are operational and will repeat. So I will only mention the 3 added. The new one we have is project on the review of the roll-in tariff approach for licensee. What is the purpose of that? The energy regulator has decided to initiate a review to assess the viability of the roll-in tariff under the current circumstances, which we can see as we've explained there. And also the other new item is guideline for objectivity, justification, and identifiable groups for difference between customers or classes of customers approved by NERSA in terms of Section 21 of the Pipeline Act. And then we got the last item, as I indicated that they are third. There will be a project then on the amendments of the petroleum pipeline licensing rules. So those are 3 as compared to the previous financial year. Thank you. Over to you, Chairperson.
Thank you. I don't know whether EM you've got anything to add. Okay. But I think it's important that, especially when it comes to the issue of rehab, I thought yourself or Madam Boko will then weigh in there, because I don't think that we should wait for licensees to want us to workshop them. I think we looking at it as an area with a lot of challenges. There should be an engagement that is initiated from our side. It is a matter that is applicable to all licenses, and therefore in the other workshops or engagement platforms, we need to make sure that it features there prominently. Okay, that would be something that if not explicitly added, we need to ensure that we add. Having said that, members, I would like to draw your attention to paragraph 14.1 on page 6 of 14, which is a recommendation for the PPS to note the annual stakeholder engagement and regulatory advocacy plan for the 2025-26 financial year. Any questions, comments, or guidance, members, from your side by show of hands, please? I don't see any hands. Having read out the recommendation, by show of hands, members, if you may just indicate if you support the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Advocate Tole. Thank you, Madam Maseti. Thank you, Madam Pungose. I also support the noting of the plan as recommended. This then takes care of item 13. We then proceed to item 14, which is an annual report on the regulatory advocacy for the 2024-25 financial year. CFO noting. Over to you again, Mr. Sintumule.
Thank you, Chairperson. In terms of the regulatory advocacy, I do note that in the previous meeting for PPS, members have indicated that there should be an alignment between the stakeholder and the regulatory advocacy, and maybe we should have a one report in future. So I think the division responsible for such that alignment maybe will be considered in the future. But currently, as things stand in terms of our performance, we've got a individual report on both stakeholder and regulatory advocacy, even though they look similar. So the purpose is to request the Petroleum Pipeline Subcommittee to note the Petroleum Pipeline Regulatory Division Regulatory Advocacy Report. So the Energy Regulator Committee meeting on 29 November 2022 approved NERSA comments on the review of the Petroleum Product Act 1977. NERSA has since formed part of the drafting team to review the petroleum. So as we have submitted our comments as NERSA, we've presented the similar comments, but for the benefit of other members, I can just touch on 1, 2, 3 comments which were proposed by the ER at the time, which with the response. For example, there was a proposal from NERSA that instead of reviewing the Act as in a form of piecemeal, they should be consider that it must be reviewed to be a bill. And also that comments have been taken properly by the DMRE since they've since introduced what we call Petroleum Product Bill. So it's no longer an act, it has been holistically been reviewed. And also there were other issues where we were to, in terms of definition and the operational matters, which I can say 90% of the comments NERSA have been accepted by the DMRE, and those ones which were not accepted, we are dealing with them through the regulatory advocacy platform which we have. Currently, the project which we have between NERSA and DMRE, we are busy reviewing the Petroleum Pipeline Act during this financial year, and we are also part of the drafting team with the DMRE on the Petroleum Product Bill. So those two acts are currently we are currently working on them between the DMRE and NERSA, and then we're being involved that much by DMRE. Hence, it will change the name after the 31st March to a new name. There's also other matters which we report here in terms of regulatory advocacy, which we're supposed to engage with the DMRE. The challenge during this financial year on the advocacy is having a meeting with the DMRE to engage on the issue which is pertain to fragmentation of the regulation, bulk, and other issues, as we did previously. So we just thought that since there were changes in terms of government, in terms of now having Department of Energy and DMRE, maybe that in new financial will again try to arrange such meeting and a way forward in deliberation with the DMRE. And the last one, in terms of our partnership with the DMRE, where they do the national awareness, we are invited by DMRE to partake. For example, now in March, we've been invited in 4 type of those initiatives. One of the initiatives is going to take place in Mpumalanga, where they will be presenting on the function of NERSA. So those are the other activities which we undertake, but those one we do get invitation from DMRE and go and I'll over to you, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you, excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Sintumule. I think it's important just to emphasize that the restructuring of departments has kind of slowed some of the things down in terms of engaging, and also to advocate for certain positions or stances that we think are going to be of benefit to the development of the industry. And we remain optimistic that come next, the year that's going to start next month, things will look better. We have not actually had a lot of ground covered in as far as the defragmentation of regulation along the petroleum value chain, as well as the issue of the amendment of the Petroleum Pipelines Act, which is more than 20 years now in place. And therefore, these are the issues that we will have to really attend to. And I hope that through the advocacy role, not confusing it when with the stakeholder, although they are very related, but we need to really put more effort, as also this was informed by our strategic planning outcomes. I'll leave it at that. Members, if you have any comments, questions, or guidance to give to the team. I see no hands. I'd like then to take you to the recommendation on page 5 of 14, which reads thus: it is recommended that the PPS notes the submission on regulatory advocacy aimed at the improvement of the regulatory framework provided through legislation, published government policies, and methodologies for the petroleum pipelines industry. By show of hands, members, if you do support the recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Advocate Stolle. Thank you, Madam Maseti. Thank you, Madam Pungose. I also support the recommendation. This then takes care of item 14, bringing us to item 15, which deals with a report on the geographic spread of licenses issued for petroleum pipelines infrastructure and new entrants considered annually by the relevant committee or the at 31st January 2025. Over to you, Mr. Sokapase. Is it here?
Oh, Mr. Sokapase is on paternity leave. Mr. Untit will assist him.
Okay, Mr. Untit, over to you, sir, because I understand Mr. Sokapase is on paternity leave.
Apology. Well, not apologies. Then I will be leading. As indicated, he's not available. Maybe just to start off, 2-3 financial years ago, we used to have 3 different APPs. One was looking at the spread of the facilities, one at new entrants and one at licensees. And the resolution was to combine this. And this is then the standard format that's been used the past 2 financial years, but effectively then this is the 4th report. There was some enhancements made based on comments from the subcommittee approximately a year ago, and that's the section on the deliberations where what is the value of this report has been added? I'll say some more comments about that. And I think then the other comment is that the NASA ArcGIS project is obviously closely linked to this report, because that is the tool that will improve the visualization and enhanced analysis when we do our license and tariff applications. So that there is a section providing the update on that, which is part of the bigger NASA cross-cutting GIS project. So for our next financial year, we plan to now every year develop it further as the need arises, but the planned intervention is to also be mapping the volumes per NDZ, magisterial district zone, to try and really start extracting real information that we can inform decisions, as well as adding the attribute for tariffs, that if you click on every facility, you will be able to see what also the tariff is. I mentioned on paragraph deliberations that we've added why this report may have benefit in terms of those 4 aspects, specifically then trying to give context of how there is value in terms of the report we've been doing the past 4 or 5 years. Then in terms of the report itself, I'm going to be very brief. 2 parts. Part 1 speaks to the licenses issued and which of those are new entrants. So we do use sort of a unique definition here of new entrants, as is explained there, but basically somebody that's not had been previously licensed by NASA. They could already have been in the sector, but in the other downstream operations that wasn't necessarily licensed by NASA. Maybe then, just due to the timelines on page 9 of 40, section 10, said 15 were finalized of the 32 applications. Post the finalization of this report to serve here today, that has increased to 17 finalized, and then obviously the 13 in progress becomes 11. So it's around 53% of the total that was finalized, noting that 13%, those 4 that could not be declared complete and proceed further. I've mentioned in the table the 2 BP applications that changed the statistics. And then into terms of new entrants, SA Bulk Community Trading and Storage Services is the only new entrant party that was licensed in this reporting period, which maybe we were hoping that every year that is more and more, but there is some good news in that just outside this reporting period of this report, which will reflect in the next report, another player was in fact licensed. So effectively, there is a second party that will be featuring. I think the engagements, I think the only comment in table 3 on page 12 is that there's 2 categories that was the trend. For example, Prax and CEF, or maybe the agency will be the South African National Petroleum Company, which has been established and will be operational, is being operationalized. So it's not adding capacity or facility, but just the ownership change. And then the other is that 2 of the inquiries related to possible interconnection to Transnet's pipeline. We've heard in previous submissions the initiatives to actually increase the volume. So these 2 are the one, unfortunately, could not proceed because of still much more technical work to be done by Transnet before that can be be feasible or signed off from their side. So that one was then withdrawn, the application, and we hope that they will be coming back to the regulator once Transnet studies has been done. And then there's a second party which is discussing, and again the technical aspect. So in the summary is on page 13 for the financial year, as stated there, only one new entrant, and then the 7 engagements. In terms of the report on part 2, I think the executive summary summarizes it well. So I'm not going to go into the details there on page 15 and again in the conclusion. Maybe the only significant trend development is that most of these were not really impactful in terms of the applications. It was a matter of a new owner, which could or could not change the market structure and competition, and that the facilities was mainly the airport facilities which changed to the SOE. Then I'm getting to the end, Chair and members. I think from the pictures you will see that we also now had the enhancement where the capacities in different colors. We'll improve it to be more distinguishable in the next report that comes to you in terms of the colors, to try show really where the areas are. And I think then the recommendations is there in paragraph 13 on page 6, 13.1 to note to report. I'll be guided, Chair. We did add 2 other recommendations which could maybe be too operational based on previous comments, but that is the recommendations then to the committee. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Untid. Just like to emphasize that one of the key issues raised around these reports from the leadership of the division is to become more anticipatory in terms of our stance, and also, in other words, have some kind of foresight. Look at the geographical spread of these licenses and see what that means in terms of the spatial development and allocation, so that one is able to prevent or avoid getting to a situation where maybe in certain infrastructure and also one is able to inform the process of developing additional capacity where required. So that's where we're looking at going. The same with the tariffs is to also look at having tariff paths, say for example, so that one is not just able to deal with the past and the now, but also to kind of look into the future. Members, without delaying you, I'll go to the recommendation, which is page 6 of OD, the black one here. It says that it is recommended that the PPS note the report on the geographic spread of licenses issued for petroleum pipelines infrastructure and new entrants into the petroleum pipelines industry during the period 1 April 2024 to 31 January 2025 attached here too. Further, it is recommended that the future reports account for licensee and facility changes based on the calendar year, as was done in the current and previous cases. The PSC department will be embarking in the 2025-26 financial year on an internal project to review its licensee database, verifying infrastructure capacity to ensure that all previous amendment applications are incorporated. That is the recommendation. Members, do you have any questions, comments, or guidance to provide to the team based on this submission? By show of hands, please. I don't see any hands. By show of hands, members, if you may indicate if you support the noting, the recommendation is provided. Thank you, Madam Pungose. Thank you, Advocate Chole. Thank you, Mrs. Banda. Madam Aseti.
I've raised my hand long ago, Chair.
Oh, okay. Okay, no, thank you. I also support the recommendation. This then concludes item 15, and then we proceed to item 16, which is a research report on insights into changes in the global petroleum industry and its impact on South Africa. It's here for noting, and I have Dr. Maposa here, as well as Mr. Matau from RAR to help us with this presentation. Mr. Matau, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning, members and colleagues. The purpose of this submission is to request the PPS to not report on the insights into changes in the global petroleum landscape and the impact on South Africa. We present this submission before you on the basis of the fact that it is a second edition of the first report that was noted by PPS in October 2022, which was triggered by the impact of refinery closures at that time. And thereafter, we were then instructed that we should conduct sectoral scans on an annual basis. Chairperson will offer this research report to present insights on the basis of a desktop analysis that we have conducted regarding the dynamics that we pick at local, regional, continental, and global levels to inform policy and regulatory interventions where possible. We present this research report in the context of the global narratives driven by the ongoing global energy trilemma, issues that are affecting global value chains of petroleum products, such as the entire global energy geography, issues to do with territoriality, issues to do with interfuel competition and substitution among fossil fuels and others. Chairperson, we're going to take this report as read and zoom straight into the key findings and recommendations that we've presented in this report. We have identified that the risks inclined to mainly geopolitical developments are very minimal at this stage, given what is historically transpired in the year 2024, noting developments that are particularly in the Middle East, with or without ceasefire in Gaza, the Israel-Hamas war, the US sanctions against Iran that are still persisting and affecting global production and supply, as well as trade of petroleum products and crude oil, the Russian-Ukraine war that is still ongoing, and also the conflict that has been persisting and of course that has come to an end in our neighbors in Mozambique, where the post-election period disrupted trade between the two countries. So far, we've noted that there is no significant impact on import prices, given that in the third quarter of 2024, we witnessed a global supply glut, where global supply of petroleum products surged, with both OPEC and non-OPEC countries increasing their levels of supply. So that has been an advantage to our South African market, despite diversions of voyages that are still going on, avoiding the routes such as the Suez Canal and the Red Sea in favor of voyages that are coming through the Gulf of Guinea and via Cape Town to the key markets that are consuming the bulk of petroleum products in the world market, which is mainly Asia and the Asian Pacific. We also note that the global market structure dynamics have continued to shape the landscape. Just energy transition narratives, and at a local level, we have identified that the key drivers of consumption of crude oil and petroleum products are mainly the number of vehicles on the South African roads that have increased, as well as economic growth that is trying to take off in the post-COVID-19 era. However, Chairperson, we would like to implore that in the outlook, although the past has been very stable, there's no guarantee that the outlook can be stable as well. Even if we would see that Middle East conflict has still persisted, although they ceasefire, but the new administration that we see now from the United States, which is a key player in terms of global exploration and supply of petroleum products, is something that we are not sure of what will happen. So it still remains a supply risk to the entire global value chain. We therefore present to you this report, and also indicating that the next review of this report will be presented in September 2025. Details of the findings and recommendations are found on page 56 to 59 of Annex A. We therefore recommend that PPS note this research report on the insights into changes in the global petroleum industry and their impact on South Africa. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mtsau. I don't know, Dr. Maposa, you want to add anything? Covered. Okay. I'd just like to stress that it's also going to assist if you, as RAR, you can work in conjunction with our international coordination unit to liaise with the relevant people in the department as well as DERCO regarding international relations and how they could be affecting our industries, noting the issue that is very much in the public domain and in the media, the US-SA relations. Although on the face of it, it might look as not having a lot of impact on the petroleum pipelines per se, but it's something that we need to closely follow, as well as not just for petroleum pipelines, but as I said, noting also the major shift in the country, being that we now importing more than 70% of our product, which there are studies that are being done with your involvement as RAR as well as PPR on the vulnerabilities that the value chain faces. But the report is appreciated. Let me hear from the members if they have any questions, comments, or guidance to provide to the team. By show of hands, please, members. I don't see any hands. The recommendation is on page 8 of 61, which reads thus, paragraph 13.1. It is recommended that the PPS notes the report on the insights into changes in the global petroleum industry and their impact attached here to as Annex A. By show of hands, members, if you support the noting of the report as recommended. Thank you, Madam Massetti. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Thank you, Advocate Tole. Thank you, Madam Pungose. I also support the noting of the report. Thanks again, RAR, for the work done. This then concludes item 16 and takes us to item 17, which is the noting of the approved round robin, which is the reasons, the decision and reasons for decision document on Transnet SOC Limited's tariff application for its Petroleum pipeline system for the 2025-26 financial year, as well as the 2026-27 financial year. This has gone further to the ER and was duly approved, and I think media statements were issued last week on the 6th of March 2025 to the effect of the decision taken by the energy regulator. Members, by show of hands, if you support the noting of this approved round robin. Thank you, Madam Maseti. Thank you, Advocate Chole. Thank you, Mr. Sbanda. Madam Pungose. I do support the recommendation. Madam Pungose, I don't see your hand. Okay, all right, we'll proceed with the majority of the members noting the approved round robin. This then takes us to the end of the agenda items in the open meeting. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you, members, management and staff, for the sterling work done, as well as the members of the public that are following us through the various live streaming platforms. Just the mere fact that they are following our work, it helps to ensure that we do our work diligently and actually we meet and even exceed the standards that we have set for ourselves and that the Republic of South Africa requires of what the energy regulator should be. With those words, the meeting then stands adjourned. I will be alerted by the ICT team if